Okay, so let's just jump right into this.
Yeah.
It is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. And if you've been scrolling through literally any Indian news feed today, you've definitely seen the headlines.
Oh, yeah, they are everywhere. You really can't miss them.
Right. Because we aren't just talking about your standard celebrity health update here. We are talking about a true patriarch of one of Bollywood's most powerful families.
The architect of the industry.
Exactly. The man who, arguably, invented the whole concept of the angry young man in Indian cinema. So for today's deep dive, we are looking into the sudden hospitalization of veteran screenwriter Salim Khan.
It is a massive moment. I mean, frankly, it's the kind of news that just stops the entire industry in its tracks.
Yeah.
You really have to remember Salim Khan is 90 years old.
He just had his birthday, right?
Yeah, he celebrated that huge milestone just last November. So when someone of that immense stature, I mean, we're talking about the literal architect of iconic films like Sholay and Diwar, when someone like that is rushed to the hospital, the stakes feel incredibly high.
It's palpable.
It really is. Not just for the Khan family, obviously, but for the history of the industry itself.
That is actually the perfect way to frame it. It feels like the ground is shaking a little bit in Mumbai right now. Ooh. So for you listening, we've got a stack of reports here. We're pulling mainly from the Hindustan Times and NDTV, covering everything that's happened over the last 48 hours.
And there is a lot of noise out there right now.
So much noise. So my mission for this deep dive is to really cut through all of that. We need to figure out what is actually happening medically, right? Beyond those scary flashing red headlines.
Definitely. And we also need to look at this unbelievable roll call of visitors showing up at the hospital.
Oh, it's basically a who's who of Bollywood.
It really is. But we also absolutely have to talk about the friction happening behind the scenes.
Yes, the privacy debate.
Exactly. There's this completely fascinating subplot here about medical privacy versus public interest. And it has really just blown up in the last 24 hours.
Oh man, the privacy battle. I was reading about the family's reaction to the doctor's public statements, and it is sharp. It reads almost like a drama script in itself.
A masterclass in PR and boundary setting, really.
Totally. But before we get to the politics of all that, let's ground ourselves in the actual facts of the situation. We really need to construct the timeline here because this didn't just start this morning.
No, not at all. The clock actually started ticking on the morning of Tuesday, February 17th.
Okay.
That is when Salim Khan was officially admitted to Lilavati Hospital in Mumbai. Now, usually when we hear the phrase emergency admission for a 90-year-old, we immediately picture sirens, an ambulance, a chaotic rush to the ER.
Which is terrifying.
Right. But the reports are super interesting here. He was actually admitted by his personal doctor.
See, that suggests a totally different level of controlled urgency, doesn't it?
Precisely.
It wasn't just a panic bystander calling an ambulance. It was a medical professional who knew him well, making a calculated call that home care just wasn't going to cut it anymore.
That's exactly it. It indicates that something in his vitals, or maybe his behavior, shifted drastically enough to require the heavy infrastructure of a major hospital. And thanks to Dr. Jalil Parkar.
He's the treating physician at Lilavati, right?
Yes. Thanks to him, we actually have a very specific window into what that shift was.
And this is where we need to get a little bit technical for a second. Because the headline everywhere just says, health scare.
Which is incredibly vague.
Super vague. But Dr. Parkar used a very specific medical term. He called it a minor brain hemorrhage.
He also used the word minimal.
Minimal, right. Now, even with the words minor or minimal attached to it, brain hemorrhage is a genuinely terrifying phrase for anyone to hear. What are we actually looking at here from a medical standpoint?
It is heavy. We definitely shouldn't downplay it. A hemorrhage, simply put, is bleeding. In the context of the brain, it means a blood vessel has either burst or leaked.
Okay.
Even a minimal bleed is significant because the human skull is a closed box.
Right, there's nowhere for the blood to go.
Exactly. There is zero room for extra fluid. So when you have any internal bleeding there, it rapidly increases pressure on the surrounding brain tissue.
Which explains the symptoms the doctor described in the reports. Because he mentioned that upon admission, Salim Saab had high blood pressure and was experiencing what the doctor termed jerks.
That word really stands out, doesn't it? Jerks.
It's a very visceral description.
It is. In clinical medical terms, what he is likely describing there are focal seizures or myoclonic jerks. When that rising pressure from the bleed irritates the delicate neurons in the brain, they start misfiring.
Wow.
It's kind of like the electrical wiring in a house just short-circuiting. The body physically reacts with those spasms. It's essentially the brain's internal alarm system going off, signaling that the environment inside the skull has dangerously changed.
That makes the timeline make so much sense. You see the jerks, you check the blood pressure, you realize this is a neurological event, and you go straight to the hospital.
No way around.
Exactly. So they get him to Lilavati on Tuesday. Then the reports say a minor procedure was performed on Wednesday morning.
Now, minor procedure is one of those classic medical euphemisms that does a whole lot of heavy lifting.
I can imagine.
Because in neurosurgery, nothing is truly minor, especially not at age 90. But usually, this terminology implies they might have done something minimally invasive to relieve that pressure or to stop the bleeding without having to open the entire skull.
Just trying to get things under control.
Right. The immediate goal is stabilization.
And that actually brings us up to today, Thursday, February 19th. The official status right now is stable, which is obviously the word everyone wants to hear.
Absolutely.
But there is a pretty big caveat attached to that. He is currently on a ventilator.
I know that detail hits the ear really hard. The word ventilator often signals permanent life support in the public imagination.
It sounds so dire.
It does. But in a post-surgical context, particularly for an elderly patient, it is very often just about management. It allows the body to fully rest. It ensures oxygenation is absolutely perfect while the brain begins to heal.
Taking the strain off the system.
Exactly. And Dr. Parkar was actually quite optimistic in his quote to the press. He said, and I quote, "All in all, he's doing quite well." And he mentioned the plan was to take him off the ventilator by tomorrow.
Meaning Friday.
Yes, Friday.
See, that is a very specific near-term target, which suggests to me that they aren't seeing cascading organ failure or anything catastrophically systemic. They are just closely managing the immediate aftermath of that minor bleed.
Yes, that's the most likely scenario.
But you touched on something super important earlier. His age. 90 is 90. You can't just bounce back from surgery like you're 30 years old.
This is the real... So, what for you listening? Physiology is just undeniable. Dr. Parkar explicitly noted this. He said, keeping his age in mind, the recovery time is longer.
Makes total sense.
Because when you are 90, your physiological reserve, which is basically your body's rainy day fund of energy and healing capacity, is just much lower.
Right.
So a minimal bleed that a 40-year-old might literally walk off in a week becomes a major metabolic event for a nonagenarian.
It's like trying to run a marathon without doing any training. The body just takes a massive toll. So while hearing stable is undeniably good news, we should probably prepare for a very long convalescence here. He's not going to be jogging out of Lilavati Hospital on Saturday morning.
It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And speaking of marathons, we really need to talk about the sheer foot traffic at Lilavati Hospital over the last 2 days. Because when the head of the Khan family is down, the industry doesn't just send a nice bouquet of flowers. They show up.
Oh, the lobby must have looked like a blockbuster film premiere. The reports from today, Thursday, highlight a very significant visitor, Amir Khan.
This is fascinating because Amir is famously elusive.
Very private.
He doesn't do the whole seen and be seen thing at hospital visits unless it deeply matters to him.
Exactly. Now, the Hindustan Times report says he arrived quietly to intentionally avoid a media frenzy. But what really caught my eye in the coverage is that he wasn't alone. He was spotted with his girlfriend, Gary Spratt.
That is a detail that tells a whole story all on its own.
Right.
Think about it. Visiting an elder in the ICU is a very intimate, somber family duty. It is not a date night activity.
Not at all.
For Amir to bring Gowri along to something this serious, it signals a massive level of integration into his personal life. It shows she is firmly in his inner circle.
It really validates all those rumors we've been seeing about just how serious they are. You don't bring a casual partner to visit the hospitalized patriarch of the Khan clan.
You really don't.
And the NHTV report specifically mentions that Amir shares a close and warm bond with Salim Khan and the whole family. So this was basically Amir introducing Gowri to that level of respect, that deep industry hierarchy.
It is entirely about lineage and respect. Amir isn't just a younger colleague in this scenario, he is almost like a third son in that family dynamic. The reports noted they spent time inside inquiring about his health and then they left together. It projects a very united, very stable front.
Amir was literally just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
The complete list of visitors is just staggering. You had Shilpa Shetty arriving, and she was accompanied by her mother, Sunanda Shetty.
Again, note the generational aspect there.
Yeah.
Shilpa brings her mother. It is a sign of deep family-to-family respect. It elevates it beyond just an actor paying respects to a writer.
And then You have Sanjay Dutt showing up.
Yeah.
I mean, the history there alone is a whole deep dive.
The connections run incredibly deep. Salim Khan has seen Sanjay Dutt through his absolute highest highs and his lowest lows in life. There is a real paternal link there.
Unquestionably.
But the visitor that really struck me, the one that I think carries the most emotional weight in all of these reports, is Javed Akhtar.
Oh, absolutely. The other half of the legendary Salim-Javed duo.
The Beatles of Bollywood screenwriting.
For any of our younger listeners who might not fully grasp the magnitude of this visit, these two men completely defined the 1970s in Indian cinema. They wrote Zanjeer, Sholay, Dawn.
Masterpieces.
And then they had a very public, very cold split. They didn't work together. They barely interacted for decades. So seeing Javed Akhtar walking into Lilavati Hospital to visit Salim Khan, it's not just a polite visit. It feels like history healing itself in real time.
It genuinely gives you goosebumps. It shows that at the end of the day, when health and mortality are on the line, those old professional rivalries just fade away.
They really do. And of course, amidst all these industry legends, we have to talk about the immediate family. The reports describe Salman Khan as looking visibly worried as he left the hospital premises.
And that's completely understandable. Salman has always been incredibly vocal about his father being his ultimate anchor in life. He rushed to the hospital on Tuesday immediately after the admission.
Dropped everything.
Yes. And over the last 48 hours, it has been the full clan showing up. You've got Arbaz and his wife Shura Khan, Helen, Salma Khan, Alvira Agnihotri. They have really circled the wagons around him.
Circle the wagons. That is the perfect phrase, because it leads us directly into the massive conflict we teased at the start of the show.
Right.
Because while the family is rallying inside the hospital room, something happened outside with the media that made them very, very unhappy.
The privacy friction. This is the real pivot in our story today. Because up until this point in the deep dive, we have been freely quoting Dr. Jalil Parkar's medical details, the jerks, the specific hemorrhage type, the ventilator timeline.
All very specific facts.
Exactly. And all of that came directly from statements he gave to the media.
Which, honestly, to me, seemed like pretty standard procedure for a hospital. A high-profile patient is admitted, the rumors start flying on social media, so the doctor gives a factual update to kill the panic.
You would naturally think so. It's crisis comms 101. But apparently, the Khan family did not see it that way at all. According to that NDTV report, Salman Khan and the rest of the family are reportedly displeased with Dr. Parker.
Displeased.
Yeah.
Which is such a polite diplomatic word for what I can only imagine was a very tense behind-closed-doors conversation.
Oh, without a doubt. The source close to the family that spoke to the press was much more blunt about it. They said, quote, "Health is a private matter."
Simple as that.
Yes. Their firm position is that updates should only ever come from the family, if and when they decide they want to share them with the public.
So essentially, they felt the doctor vastly overshared. He gave the media the medical chart version of events when the family maybe just wanted a simple, "He is stable, please respect our privacy" statement.
It boils down to a loss of narrative control. Think about it from their perspective. Salim Khan is a figure of immense, towering dignity. Hearing granular details about his neurological jerks or his exact ventilator dependence being broadcast on the evening news for the family, that probably feels like a massive violation of his dignity.
That makes a lot of sense.
They want to protect his legacy and his image as the strong patriarch. They do not want the public analyzing his bedside monitor stats.
It's a really fascinating clash of cultures, isn't it? Because in a way, you can see both sides. The doctor was likely just trying to prevent a mass panic. If you say absolutely nothing, Twitter immediately says he's passed away.
Exactly. The vacuum gets filled with rumors.
Right. If you say minor hemorrhage, you ground the situation in reality.
Yeah.
But the family is stepping in and saying, that is absolutely not your decision to make for us.
And importantly, the family won that battle decisively. They conveyed their displeasure directly to the higher-ups, the hospital authorities, and Lilavati Hospital, which is very used to treating VVIPs and celebrities, immediately pumped the brakes.
The report says they have formally agreed to respect these wishes and stop issuing any more medical bulletins. That is a total clampdown on information.
An absolute information blackout. And that perfectly explains why our incredibly detailed medical timeline just completely stops today. The tap has been turned off.
Wow.
Going forward, we probably won't hear a single thing about his blood pressure, or his ventilator settings, or his physical therapy. We will likely only hear what Salman or Arbaz consciously choose to post on their own terms.
It is a massive power move by the family. But it also reminds you that despite the wildly public nature of their jobs, The Khans are historically intensely private about their actual personal struggles. When things get real, they draw very hard lines.
It highlights a really difficult tension that I think a lot of people don't consider. We, as the public, feel like we know these people. We have watched their movies for decades. We follow their daily lives on Instagram.
We feel invested.
Right. So there is this built-in sense of entitlement. We feel we inherently deserve to know if Salim Saab is okay. But does our collective curiosity override a 90-year-old patient's fundamental right to medical confidentiality?
That is the million-dollar question. Especially when the patient is in such a vulnerable state.
Exactly. The family is essentially arguing that the specifics of his physical suffering are not content for public consumption, and by silencing the hospital PR machine, they are reclaiming his humanity. They are saying to the world, he isn't just a breaking news headline right now. He is a father and a grandfather who needs to heal in peace.
And it really seems like the industry visitors are respecting that exact same code. Because we aren't seeing Amir Khan or Sanjay Dutt walking out of the lobby and giving impromptu interviews to the paparazzi about what they saw inside the ICU.
That's the unwritten omerta of the Bollywood inner circle.
A code of silence.
Yes. You go, you pay your respects, you support the family, and you leave. You never become a spokesperson unless the family explicitly asks you to. The leak or the transparency, depending on how you choose to view it, came from the institution. It came from the doctor. And that is exactly why the family shut down the institution and not their friends.
It really is a masterclass in celebrity crisis management. Even while they are dealing with the immense emotional weight of their 90-year-old father being on a ventilator, the family is still sharp enough to completely manage the PR fallout and protect their boundaries.
It just shows how fiercely protective they are of him. They are guarding his historical legacy and his current physical vulnerability simultaneously.
So let's try to summarize the situation as it stands right now, fully recognizing that the flow of information has entirely changed since this morning.
Sure. Here is the current snapshot. Salim Khan, 90 years old, was admitted Tuesday, February 17th. The medical reality is a minor brain hemorrhage that caused seizure-like symptoms. He underwent a stabilizing procedure and is currently stable but remains on a ventilator.
With the medical team hoping to extubate him, meaning take him off that ventilator by tomorrow, Friday.
That was the stated plan before the media silence fell. We just have to hope that positive trajectory holds true behind closed doors.
And socially, the industry support has just been massive. Amir Khan and Gauri Sprat made a very significant quiet appearance today, joining an incredible roster of legends like Javed Akhtar, Sanjay Dutt, and the entire extended Khan family.
And finally, the boundary has been firmly set. The hospital has officially stopped the medical bulletins. The Khan family is now the sole source of truth regarding his condition moving forward.
You know, this whole situation really leaves me thinking about the true cost of being a legend in this era. We always talk about the applause, the awards, the immense wealth, but moments like this really expose the other, much darker side of the coin.
The cost is that you don't ever get to be sick in private. Your failing body literally becomes content. Every slight fluctuation in your heart rate or your breathing becomes a push notification on a total stranger's phone.
It's an incredibly heavy price to pay for fame. It really makes you wonder about our own role in this ecosystem as consumers.
That is exactly the question I am left grappling with today. We love to criticize the paparazzi culture. We complain about intrusive media. But at the end of the day, we are the ones clicking the links. When the doctor gave those intimate medical details, millions of people consumed them eagerly.
We couldn't get enough of it.
Right. So who is really driving this invasion of privacy? Is it just the media doing their jobs, or is it our own insatiable appetite for information about the famous?
That is a very tough mirror to look into. Do you, as a fan, actually have a right to know the medical vitals of a public figure? Or was the doctor's transparency a step way too far into their private lives?
It is definitely something for you to consider the next time you see a breaking news banner flashing about a celebrity's health scare. Are we truly expressing empathy and concern, or are we just consuming their trauma as entertainment?
A very provocative thought to end on today. For now, we are sending our very best thoughts to Salim Khan and the entire Khan family for a smooth and peaceful recovery. We hope the next update, whenever the family chooses to share it, is a very positive one.
Absolutely. Here is to the full recovery of a true industry legend.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.